The following is a DW Ancient Egypt production. Among the notable figures who played a pivotal role in unifying Egypt was Pharaoh Narmer, whose reign in the early dynastic period set the stage for the rise of a powerful and enduring civilization. Also known as Menes, Pharaoh Narmer is considered one of the earliest known rulers of ancient Egypt, his reign beginning at a date estimated around 3100 BC. His name means stinging or fierce catfish. Pharaoh Narmer hailed from the south, specifically from the city of Thinis. The Narmer palette, a significant archaeological artifact, depicts Narmer as a powerful and authoritative figure wearing the crowns of both Upper and Lower Egypt. This symbolized his dominion over the entire land. Pharaoh Narmer's unification efforts were not confined to military conquest alone. He implemented various strategies to solidify his authority and foster unity. This included establishing administrative centers, appointing loyal officials, and promoting a sense of shared identity through religious and cultural practices. His actions laid the foundation for a centralized government and a standardized religious and bureaucratic system that persisted throughout Egyptian history. This centralization also facilitated long-distance trade, promoted economic growth, and contributed to the flourishing of art, architecture, and literature. Furthermore, the concept of divine kingship, which became central to Egyptian society, originated during Narmer's reign. Pharaohs were regarded as the intermediaries between the gods and the people, solidifying the ruler's divine authority and ensuring stability and harmony within the kingdom. These religious practices and iconography developed during Narmer's reign, with symbols such as the Djed and the Ankh. The Djed symbol holds significant importance in ancient Egyptian culture, representing stability and prominently appearing in various forms of Egyptian art and architecture. Despite its ubiquity, the Djed is often overlooked due to its widespread presence throughout pillars, tomb walls, palace walls, papyrus sheets, and sarcophagi. While the exact origin of the Djed remains uncertain, it is associated with the god Ptah, an early creator deity from the pre-dynastic period. The symbol holds strong connections to the god Osiris and his resurrection, symbolizing his backbone, the tamarisk tree, which enclosed Osiris in the myth, or four pillars rising one after another. However, the concept of stability appears to be the primary meaning attached to the Djed by the ancient Egyptians, carrying the utmost significance. The Ankh symbol, a cross with a loop at the top, is one of the most recognizable symbols from ancient Egypt. It represents life, or breath of life in Egyptian hieroglyphs. The Egyptians believed that life extended beyond the earthly existence and into the eternal afterlife. As such, the Ankh embodies both mortal existence and the concept of the afterlife. It is an ancient symbol found in tomb paintings, inscriptions, and was also worn by Egyptians as an amulet. The association of the Ankh with the afterlife led to its adoption by Coptic Christians in Egypt during the 4th century AD. The symbol eventually evolved into the Christian cross that is recognized today. Egypt, as the first nation in history with a powerful centralized government, relied on a stable governing system. Although the government would occasionally collapse, the people consistently returned to the divine order under the rule of a pharaoh. The centralized government facilitated monumental public works projects, such as the construction of the Great Pyramids. Evidence from tomb paintings reveals the use of large work gangs comprised of people rather than beasts of burden, pulling ropes to move massive statues and stones. It is crucial to note that the Egyptians employed human labor for extensive agricultural projects. Narmer's unification of farmers and their work on the irrigation system would result in the building of the Great Pyramids in only a few hundred years. In 1897, Egyptologist J.E. Quibble conducting excavations at Hierakonpolis in Upper Egypt, made a remarkable discovery known as the Narmer palette. This ancient artifact, dating back over 1,000 years at the time of its burial, holds significant historical importance as it reveals the unification of Egypt during the end of the pre-dynastic period. The Narmer palette, a ceremonial slate stone standing about 2 feet tall, was originally used for grinding cosmetics, possibly for offerings at a shrine dedicated to a local deity. Within Egyptian temples, a sacred space known as the Holy of Holies existed, accessible only to priests. This revered area often housed a bronze statue depicting the specific god of the temple. Each morning, the priests anointed the statue with oils and cosmetics and presented offerings of food. The Narmer palette likely served as the cosmetic grinder for such a temple. However, this palette goes beyond its functional purpose and becomes the world's first historical document, narrating a story and setting artistic standards. It portrays the king as the embodiment of Egypt, with hierarchical proportions distinguishing them from commoners. The pharaoh, believed to be the earthly representation of the god Horus, is consistently depicted larger than others. The Narmer palette portrays Narmer wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt on one side, signifying his kingship in the south. The iconic smiting pose is depicted with the king holding a war club above his head, about to strike down an enemy grasped by the hair. The background shows swampy plants, indicating that the enemy may have hailed from the Delta region in the north of Egypt. This defeated enemy has a nose ring connected to a falcon, symbolizing the pharaoh, believed to be the god Horus on earth. Behind the king, a smaller figure carries a pair of sandals. This individual, the sandal bearer to the king, holds a significant position akin to a viceroy, often second only to the pharaoh. The top of the palette features the hieroglyphs for King Narmer's name, represented by a fish and a chisel, indicating his status as the first king of Egypt. The depiction of Pharaoh's name, known as a serek, resembles the facade of a palace akin to the outer perimeter wall of Djoser's step pyramid. The Narmer palette's reverse side showcases a victory procession, with Narmer wearing the red crown symbolizing the unification of Egypt. The scene depicts defeated, headless enemies, symbolizing Narmer's triumph. Below Narmer, intertwined necks of 2 creatures, possibly panthers or leopards, represent the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. A fortress or walled city is depicted beneath the creatures, being broken down by a bull, which also becomes a symbol of Narmer's reign. The Narmer palette vividly illustrates Narmer's conquest of the Delta, destruction of a walled city, and his ascension as the first king of a unified Egypt. Narmer, the ancient Egyptian pharaoh, was laid to rest in the el-Ka'ab necropolis at Abydos, the southern city. The choice of Abydos as the burial site can be attributed to its significance in the myth of Osiris, where it served as the sacred city where Osiris, the god of the afterlife, was interred. Renowned archaeologist Flinders Petrie, known for his contributions to dating systems, conducted excavations at this site in the late 19th century. Petrie's primary focus was not on seeking treasures, but on acquiring knowledge, leading him to explore sites that other archaeologists overlooked. His excavations at Abydos unearthed some of the earliest burials in Egypt. The tombs discovered by Petrie were simple underground structures made of mud brick. Most of these tombs featured a stele, a large stone with a rounded top, often used as a boundary marker by later kings. Carved onto these steles was a falcon, symbolizing the pharaoh as the divine entity Horus. The falcon stood atop the serek, which depicted the facade of a palace and contained the king's name. Narmer's tomb, labeled as B17 and B18, comprised two interconnected chambers lined with mud brick. Considering its age of over 5,000 years and the extensive looting it had endured over time, it is remarkable that any valuable discoveries were made within it. Among the findings were inscriptions on wood and bone, seal impressions, flint arrowheads, flint knives, and a fragment of an ebony chair leg. These items likely formed part of the original funerary assemblage. Additionally, burial sites were also established in the northern region at Saqqara, a location named after Sokar, the god of the dead. The existence of two burial sites served a symbolic purpose, denoting the pharaoh's dominion over both Upper and Lower Egypt, or the north and the south. It remains uncertain which of the two burial sites served as the actual resting place for certain pharaohs, as some burials were deliberately designed as false or cenotaphs.